let me click my home. See that home button here? Whenever you click that home button, it closes all your tabs. You got all tabs that you keep on opening. So as you click on things, you know, right? You click on things, you open tabs. So as you click on things, it opens tabs, and when you click this home button here, it closes all the tabs and takes you back to the beginning. So I'm going to do that, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my top menu again, and you see there's a button called the second one to the right, or the second one from the left. Is called List. I'm going to click there, and I'm going to scroll down to and click on Species. This is one thing in OrchidWiz that's very little known, that it's not very well known. When you click Species, you're working off of this screen. So you're only looking at species, but where it's useful is I've been able to collect over time data on a variety of species. For example, are things long or frequent bloomers? Okay, do they grow in shade? Do they grow sunny? Do they grow with cold temperatures or hot temperatures, or are they miniature, and so on? And so I've thrown all that into here, into this screen. So you can come in here and search for things. So if I was looking for long and frequent blooms, I could just select that and then click List. And you see that in OrchidWiz, there are about 700 species that are denoted as having either long blooms, like I'm sure there's some phalaenopsis are in here. Yeah, there's a lot of phalaenopsis in here. So they're either denoted as having long blooms, like phalaenopsis, or frequent blooms, like some of the Brassavolas, like Brassavola nudosa. I think that's a frequent bloom instead of a long bloom. I'm not really sure. But if it's got either a long bloom, it blooms for a long time, or it blooms several times a year, at least twice a year, then it's noted in here. So if you're looking for that, if you're looking for something that gives you lots of blooms, that's blooming, frequently, then this is a good list to start out from. Now, I got 700 species, and now let's go look at my growing environment. Like, what if I wanted something that was long and frequent blooms, but I don't have much space to grow it? I could just say I want miniatures, so I can click miniature here, okay, and say long and frequent blooms that are miniatures, and then click List. And now it comes up with 62 species that are, oh, and there's our Dendrobium cruthpersonii. No wonder it's so popular in the US. Here you come up with 62 different species that are miniatures and have either long blooms or frequent blooms. Now, I don't have to stop there. I can keep on going. I can say, well, what are my growing conditions? I want something that grows either intermediate or hot, okay? So I'm gonna click, actually, I'm gonna click only one of them. So let's just click hot. I want something that grows in hot temperatures because I keep my home pretty hot, and that's where I'm gonna keep them. So I select hot and then click List. And now I got 12 species, okay? So these are, if I want hot growing, miniature, and long and frequent blooms, now I'm down to 12 species that I can grow. And if I want to do a gallery of that, I can go do a gallery of those species. I'm going to click here to maximize the photographs. So these would be my miniature species that I can grow hot at home, that are either long blooming or frequent bloomers. Okay, so I can do that sort of analysis. And if I wanted to say, well, what about something that grows in the sun? I'm going to click sunny. I think that's going to be 0. It's going to give me 0 because now I've selected so many things, and I want so much that let's list and see. Yeah, right. No record found. So I've selected so many different things that it's just saying, nah, and you're not going to grow these sitting in the sun. So let me unclick some of the other things and say, okay, I'm just looking for something that I can landscape with, maybe, or something that will grow in my windowsill in full sun. So click List. And there's about 400 species in OrchidWiz that's the case. And some of these, let's look here, Spathoglottis, for example. Spathoglottis plicata, I used to have this grow when I lived in Florida. I used to have this growing in my backyard. I had some of these growing, and in Florida they're quite common. So they take full sun, and they're quite common for landscaping, right? And so some of the other genera in here, you have your Rhinantheras that take full sun. You have the Papilionanthe, you know, you have your Papilionanthe hookeriana that takes full sun. You have a lot of habanarias, yeah, some grammatophyllums, a lot of epidendrums that will take full sun. Let me see if my radicans, I used to grow these outside in Florida. Here's my radicans, and those take full sun. They have different color forms too. I kind of wonder if if the color forms have been noted. Maybe, maybe not. And we could go and figure that out. We could look at profile and then names and see, you know, if no, there's no. So far, we're not really denoting those different color forms. We're just saying, well, that's just the way it is. They have different color forms. So,
is there any place in OrchidWiz to go for a definition of what shade versus dappled is, or what hot versus intermediate is?
Yeah, so I don't have, so the shade dappled, bright, and sunny definitions came from a fellow named Jay Fowl. May have heard that name before. He has a site out on the web called Internet Orchid Species Encyclopedia. I think it's called IOSPE. And Jay Fowl came up with those definitions. So if I were to click on the profile for Epidendrum radicans, you see here that it says, you know, that the radicans will grow in either bright indirect light or partial sun conditions. Okay, so sunny means partial sun, and then bright indirect light is ours. Let's go back to our list species. So you have bright and you have sunny, right? You have bright here, you have sunny here. And then when I click on the profile for radicans, there's bright and there's sunny. So there's the definition for that. Now the definition for the other ones are more important, which is what about the definition for temperatures? And so here, the temperatures for radicans is cool to warm conditions. So cool to warm conditions, let's go back to list species. And it's cool. Cool is this one, and intermediate would be, so cool to warm. I think intermediate would be warm. I think so. In the profile, I opened another profile by mistake. But in the profile, yeah. So yeah, intermediate would be warm, and that's like that. It has an icon of a tree, and then cool, it has like a fan in here, and that's 58 degrees to 75 degrees at night. Okay. So another way that you could do this is you can figure this out another way, but I don't really have a definition. I should have a definition in OrchidWiz of these things. I don't have it. But let's look at our hazelboyd, and let's look at how to cultivate hazelboyd. Okay. And okay, so these are the things in the background of hazelboyd. Okay, so you have coccinia or Antiocha dowiana and so on. And here are the light conditions for each of those. Okay, and then you have the temperature conditions for each of those. Okay, so here you look for things like, here's Schroederi, and you say, okay, so Schroederi is only warm. So if I search for Schroederi, since I know that Schroederi is only warm, if I were to search for Schroederi, let me click orchid and say, see if I can find it here. Okay, let's see, Schroederi. Okay, there's our Schroederi, Cattleya Schroederi. No, let's click any of these. Okay, there's Cattleya Schroederi. I click profile. It's going to say profile. It's going to say, see, there it is. It's intermediate. So intermediate means 66 degrees to 75 degrees at night. Okay, at night. It's always nighttime temperatures. What is the temperature at night? So intermediate will mean 66 to 75 degrees at night. But I should probably write this down someplace, and I'm gonna do that in the next version. That's a good idea, and just give you what those are, and then, or I can somehow put them in. I can put them in this window here, species. I can put the definitions down here. I got space, and I can put these definitions down here so that you know what those are. But that's a really interesting, neat feature that OrchidWiz has that a lot of people don't know about.